Hey, what's up? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. This is the Friday Q&A, and we're just getting rolling here. So a couple minutes late today, just trying to make sure that the little overlay was going to be there, but it's not. The little app is not working for me today. So no overlay today. What's up, everyone? I see we got a handful of people on. Give me a shout. I see we have my very kind moderators out there too. Thanks, folks. We have Arun and Furhan. So we have Ed on. We have Gregoris. We have Theo. What's up? And let's see. We got who else? All right. Okay. Hiking Gear Lab. Nice. And we got some questions popping up already. So very good. We have Ravi and Duke. What's up? All right. So we have a few questions in. Feel free to put them in and ask some more. By the way, a couple notes. I don't want to commit too much yet, but I am going to be publishing a lot more videos coming up soon. I will let people know about the actual schedule. I'm still ironing out some things, but I have been inspired by a few of the other YouTubers that I watch occasionally, which is a common question. So I'll actually tell you about a few of the YouTubers that I watch. The person that sort of got my attention in the last week or so is a guy named his channel is Refusing to Settle. His name is Clark, and it looks like he's been vlogging for a few years, but he's really turned it on and focused on a few areas. A couple observations that I had. He's big into journaling, which I'm getting a little bit more into journaling currently. I'll go on a tangent about that in a moment. But basically, this guy Clark did like a 50 videos in 50 days challenge. And he has a lot of subscribers. I think he's in the 150,000 range. So a very different size channel than mine, but he has his own products and he puts out a lot of, videos. He's gotten better over time. Anyway, that sort of inspired me. And I was like, you know what? I've been publishing a lot. I'm trying to up the quality. I hope people have noticed that the quality's higher. One of the compliments that I've been getting is about the editing and how much better it's gotten. It's because I'm not doing the editing anymore. So I hired an editor. She's way better than me. So, okay, I'm going to start getting to the questions here. So Ed is asking about people that had success on Amazon sites, and there's some chatter going on about that. So that's fantastic. Let me keep rolling down. Arun is talking about, the number of sales, which is, pretty decent. And, one thing to remember, Gregoris is mentioning 200 clicks and no sales. The weird thing that happens, it's cool to have the data. However, if your sample size is too small, in other words, if you're only getting like 15 visitors a day, it's not a big enough sample size to like make an actual determination on how well you're doing. You really need about 100 visitors per day, and then things will kind of blow up. Usually if you're getting about 100 visitors per day, you're probably making at least $100 per month. Quick, math, quick logic behind that. If you're getting 100 visitors per day, one or two people, they're probably going to buy something. They're probably going to buy a couple things. But you have to have like a sample size of that many people per day. If you have 100 people over the course of a week, it doesn't really work out the same way because it may be the wrong type of visitor. Maybe they're not interested in buying. So anyway, if you have a small amount of data, it's kind of misleading. But once you get about 100 visitors per day, things are going to start happening. We have Wesley on, and Ed is saying it's your first time on. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you being on here. Jonathan, Duke, let's see, David is on. Danish. We have Asman, Ravi. We also have some other people, random reviews. Okay. So David is saying, you're just about to start your Amazon site. Which course of yours can I follow? So I have a bunch of YouTube videos and I have a lot of information on my site. It's a niche site project. So if anyone's interested in like getting started and getting more information, you should go to niche site project, click on the green button, sign up for the email list. You'll get a ton of free like resources, I guess. And it's like a task list to create a niche site. It's a bunch of keywords so you can see like what good keywords look like, and subscribe to the channel, which I'm not sure if you are, but if you're subscribed to the channel, you should probably notice the playlist section. So there's a lot of great information in there. I'm actually working on organizing it better. So as far as a course, to answer your question, you can't get into any course that I have right now. So I only open enrollment up for a short period. You just missed it. So enrollment like closed up like a week ago, I think. So it'll open back up later this year. So my recommendation is to sign up for the email list. There's again a lot of free resources to help you get started, and then watch stuff on the YouTube channel. A lot of the time, if you just search specifically on my channel, you'll probably find your question. Next, we have random reviews. Is saying things I don't understand. Welcome, though. All right. Danish says, is it a good idea to hide your backlinks from competitors by not letting, um, some people do that, but, I don't know that it's that effective. I mean, you could try it, but I don't know that many people do that. So Ed says, is is it okay to put an affiliate link in a description of your video solely as a way for your viewers to support you, even if you're not advertising a product? I believe so. I believe it is. And I haven't checked that specifically, but I believe so. The key thing is to say that it is an affiliate link. And actually, I would recommend, if you're going to like do that, you have a call to action and you just say, hey, help support my channel. If you buy stuff from Amazon, if you click through that link, I'll get a small percentage. And then it's very transparent. And, the, what do they call it? Is it FTC, Federal Trade Commission? I haven't been getting good sleep this week. So I can't think of words. Not a good thing when you're live answering questions. By the way, if people like these sessions, I do these each Friday, just general Q&A like this. On Wednesdays, I do a live session as well. Same time, same place. That is on a topic of my choosing, whatever I happen to be into, and then we chat about it. I field some questions on Wednesday, but I'm a little bit like, I try and focus on the topic. So if you like these, you should be interested in attending both Wednesday and Friday. All right. Next, David says, what's the name of the course? You're not sure you saw it, and which one's more profitable, an authority site or an Amazon site? Okay. The course is called 5-Figure Niche Site, and you can sign up for the waiting list as well. Additionally, as far as like profitability, an authority site versus an Amazon site, they're kind of different. They're different things, or they're the same thing. So you may have a certain definition in your mind. I'll tell you mine. An authority site is really just a niche site that's a little bit bigger in my vernacular here. So it's an affiliate site of some kind. And I focus on Amazon sites. Some other people focus on AdSense. Some other people focus on just other affiliate programs out there. But basically, the authority site and the Amazon site, the way you're asking the question is actually equivalent. So they are both profitable. Jonathan says, isn't placing a link, well, isn't that against the terms of service? Are you saying like to put a link in your description? Why would that be against the terms of service? Directing to links and support you thought was against it? Huh. So I recently saw, and I know I missed a couple questions, I'll come back to them. I recently saw there was an update. I thought it was specifically around telling people to bookmark links. So that could be a little fuzzy. So, okay, Ed, read the terms of service and check for yourself. I'm not 100% sure. I'll make a note to check that out, but um, it used to be in Ed. Yeah, in Ed. Just go check out the terms of service and check. And Jonathan, if you have a reference, like a link that you could post, that'll be awesome. But yeah, it used to be okay. In fact, I used to, I mean, I used to listen to these beer brewing podcasts, and they would often advertise that way. They're like, hey, support us, click through Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And I wonder what they do for, I mean, these podcasts are like a decade old. So I wonder how Amazon handles that. If they are like, oh, you gotta redo those podcast bumpers, just curious. Yeah, the terms of service, they're always changing basically once a month. They often they often change. So, okay. Next, we have David says, your case study site, the one I exited, how many articles and content did you publish per week? We didn't publish on a per week basis. So the site was launched really with about 20 articles, and then another 25 were added. And then over the course of like when I was working on it, I added over about 8 months, about 60 more articles, 60 or 70 more articles, something like that. But we didn't publish on a per week basis. It doesn't really matter. So, quick note, if you find this helpful, if I'm answering your question, could you please hit the like button? Or if you're watching the replay and you're finding this interesting or helpful at all, please hit the like button. Really would appreciate it. Helps other people find these videos. Okay. So then Terry says, can you link articles for products from news sites on your affiliate site, or does it have to be your own genuine blog post? I'm not sure what that means. So can you link articles for products from news sites? Like what news sites? And yeah, I'm not really, are you saying like copying news stories? If so, I would avoid that. And okay, so I see a couple people are saying that you can't post links to ask for support. So apparently that changed, and I didn't realize it applied for stuff like that, for like YouTube videos. So thank you for the smart people in the crowd that corrected me there. And you know, you could, right? Quick thing to get around it. Ed, why don't you just say, hey, I love this product, and if you want to check one out, like go ahead and order, a notebook. I use a notebook and I love it. I get a commission, and I mean, just talk about the product for like a second. So you can make it like your own advertisement if you want to. And then you're talking about the product, you're giving a light, potentially descriptive review, and you can put the link in there. So just, I guess keep in mind, and thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay. All right. Next, we have Gregoris says, if you have a good article with recommendations in your niche, should I buy PBNs for it? That's totally up to you. So a PBN, for people that don't know, is a private blog network, and that is against the Google like webmaster guidelines. So they call it gray hat, and it is completely up to you. So if you want to do gray hat stuff, go for it. I would, just Make sure you know the risk, make sure you understand what you're getting into. A lot of people use PBNs very successfully. I, however, don't. I don't have the stomach to deal with the risk. So, you know, totally up to you. Theo says, you see other sites like top 10 best and reviews. Should I do a complete review site? And then are there any problems with that? So I would recommend no. There's no major problems with it, but do you have the budget and stamina to compete with other sites that are that big? So there was a period of time I remember about 2 years ago, these sites were very popular. Smaller ones were sort of taking off, and a lot of people created these. And if you go scour the SERPs and look for these kind of sites, you'll see just a wasteland of, sites where people published 100 articles. No traffic ever went to the site. They never ranked for anything. It's super hard to do that. So if you have a huge budget, like very large budget, then you should potentially go for it. And I would say you need to have a team in place. You need to be able to put out high quality content. You should be buying all the products, stuff like that. And if that sounds crazy to you, I don't recommend it. Rasul says, how much revenue can I expect for 100,000 visitors to my website a month? That is really hard to answer. I'm not really sure. So I only have like a very small data set to tell you about. So I have no clue. No clue. It could be, I would expect that you could make at least 5,000 a month, but you may be able to make 20,000 a month or 50,000 a month, depending on the type of traffic, the type of site, and stuff like that. So really difficult to, figure that out. Depends on how you monetize. All right. Michelle says, how many times a year do I open the course? 4 times a year. The next one will be in the April timeframe. So, and I do that because there's a lot of interaction with the students. There are components which happen real time, like within the course. So I have to stagger it that way, and it makes it easier for me to work with a manageable, a number of people. And next, David says, how much search traffic should your keywords generate to be considered as a good niche to move into and to avoid going into a very small niche? Okay. I don't like that question. So I'm going to answer a different one that's more helpful, David. So your keywords, you can target small search volume keywords. However, what you should do is you should brand your site in a general way so that you can expand later. So you should find a pocket of keywords that are, approachable. Keyword golden ratio, KGR terms are preferred, with a couple larger terms, larger search volume terms in the mix too. But you want to brand generally. So if you're looking at notebooks, which I have next to me, which is why I keep referring to it, if you're looking at notebooks, you wouldn't really want to just focus on notebooks unless you're just super into notebooks. You would probably want to focus on like the journaling aspect or the planner aspect. Make it more general. You can go one level up and say office products, right? So if you brand it in a general way, then you have room to expand, and then you're not stuck in a very small niche. Next, Asmin, we are getting some more advanced questions today, some where I have a little bit of gap in knowledge. Question, is it not allowed to use, okay, I'm going to rephrase it a little bit better. Can we use Amazon on referral links, like buy from Amazon or check price on Amazon? Okay. So typically in the past, I thought that was okay. However, I recently heard from one of my students, and basically it sounds like you can't do that. So there's some trademark thing that you have to take into consideration, and I'm not really sure. So I thought it was okay. It's actually quite common and it's not misleading. You're letting people know that they're going to Amazon. So I'm not sure, Asmin, if anyone knows, then let me know in the chat here. Okay, Danish, and Jonathan says, I'm sort of lost in the thread. So Danish says, if you have a second affiliate website, is it mandatory to let Amazon know? Yeah. So just add it to your account. Top motivational video says, what is an authority site? So basically it's an affiliate site, but for me, the definition of like a niche site versus an affiliate site, it is purely branding, right? So the stuff that I mean, my site's niche site project. So I use niche site like Authority Hacker. It's Authority Hacker. They're going to say authority sites, right? But they're affiliate sites, usually monetized with Amazon associate program, right? So that's kind of what it breaks down to. You could add other programs, you could have your own products, stuff like that. Authority sites, when you say that, people think bigger. They think a bigger site, more thorough, an email list, stuff like that. It doesn't have to mean that. And I like to just say, if you're going to work with those kind of definitions, like an authority site is a niche site that's sort of like grown up. Usually, I mean, if someone looked at my sites, you would think they're authority sites per that definition. So a lot of times there's more content, stuff like that. Hiking Gear Lab says, can I please explain a little more about my keyword golden ratio? It is very difficult to get that ratio. So you just need a little more experience with it. And I actually have a playlist that I put together that has like all the details you need to know about the keyword golden ratio. So basically, if you haven't heard of the keyword golden ratio, it's like a data-driven way to find keywords that you don't need links for, which is cool because a lot of people hate building links. People hate it a lot, and they look for any shortcut they could possibly get to not build links. So I'm going to paste a playlist in here, hiking. And why don't you take a look at the playlist, and it answers a lot of stuff. If you're having trouble finding the ratio, then you just haven't spent enough time with it, most likely. Once you find like the way that you find it, right? The sort of like format that works for you, the process that works for you, you're going to find a lot of them. And I mean, you'll probably be able to find like, if you spend an hour doing it, you'll find like 20, 25 of them. And then maybe the next time it'll be a little harder, but then you'll find another pocket of keywords. Okay. And if you have specific questions, let me know. But basically, you just need to look harder. And that's why it works, right? They're a little bit hard to find. You have to do it manually. Matt James, what's up? What length do I write product reviews? So 1,000 words or longer. Arun says, for product reviews, we can use the images using SiteStripe, and you notice that only the main image of the product will get picked. That is correct. All right. Duke says, what do I recommend for images when you try to pull an image from the SiteStripe and it gives you image unavailable? This is a great question. I would not worry about it. I would go to Creative Commons and get some other images that you can take, and you can, use proper attribution that fits the niche. Then for the call to action, I would say see image on Amazon if that's allowed, and then use that as the call to action to get people over to Amazon. That does happen sometimes. And it turns out that having a picture of the product is good, but not required. And if you don't have the picture, it creates an information gap and it makes people curious, which is a good thing. And they'll be eager, hopefully, to click over to Amazon. And I see we have a handful of people, 48 folks in the house. Hopefully everything's cool. Yes, everything's cool, it looks like. If you find this helpful, please click the like button. It helps other people find the video. Next, David says, in fact, if I answer one of your questions or something that you find helpful, that's a good prompt for you to go ahead and click the like button. I know if you're on mobile or something, it could be a little difficult, but if you like swipe a certain way, do what you can. Really would appreciate it. So David says, what type of content is best? Comparison, tutorials, reviews. So it depends on the purpose of the content. If you're trying to sell something, the reviews are best. So tutorials can be helpful for, getting other people on the site and establishing like credibility within the niche, stuff like that. So figure out your purpose of what you're trying to do and then put the kind of content that supports that. So you have to understand like what you're trying to do. The part two of that question that you didn't ask is you should probably have some helpful content and some affiliate reviews. 50-50 is a good blend. Second question, does website structure matter, i.e. creating silos or example, creating silos? Not really. I think, in my opinion, the big thing that you get from siloing is a interlinking strategy that you do like throughout the site. So as long as you go ahead and interlink the site, you should be good to go. Gregoris says, but how can I make sure that this post is ranking very good in order to get some visitors and some sales? Of course. Buying backlinks or what? So if you want to buy backlinks, you can. It is totally up to you. That is more risky. The other route is to work on a backlinking strategy yourself. Or you can hire people to do it, right? There are methods out there. So let me paste another playlist. Highly recommend you check it out. This goes over outreach and different strategies to take care of that stuff. I probably should have listed that like what it was. But yeah, there's a couple playlists. The first one's the keyword golden ratio. The other one is about link building strategy. So basically, Gregoris, you should, where did that question go? You got to get links somehow, most likely. And then you're going to have to either pay someone to do it or do it yourself. So if you're paying someone to do gray hat stuff, the private blog network links, then it's more risky. So you could start making $1,000 a month and you have a site worth like $25,000 and then it goes away overnight. That's happened to me a couple times and that's why I don't do it. Some people do it with great success, just not my thing. All right. Job says, when applying to join the associates programs, which images should someone use? Can you clarify your question? Do you mean which images on the site? I would recommend that you just, grab images from Creative Commons or Unsplash or another free place, maybe your own images if you have some, and just put those on the site, right? Amazon wants people that have like a regular old blog. And I think that would be fine. Asman says, would you replicate a general review site like 10 Beasts in 2018 or stick to a niche? Me, I would stick to a niche. Okay. Hiking Gear Lab says, please explain the KGR more. Okay. I highly recommend checking out that playlist. Okay. Yeah, you will. All right. I'm catching up on the chat. That's the flaw with me reading slowly in the chat. Basically, you have to do an advanced search string in Google. It's an all in title. So you do all in title and then your search string, you get some value, right? The playlist, it shows you like exactly what to do, gives you some examples, and I answer your follow-up questions that you'll definitely have. So Basically you end up with a number of results. And then based on that, you could check how many times people search it per month. You come up with a ratio. The ratio should be under 0.25. The local monthly search volume should be under 250. There's a reason for that. I answer it in the playlist, and you'll be able to essentially publish a post and rank probably in the top 30 or so, even for like a brand new site in like a couple days. It's amazing. If people in the chat have done this before, just say, yeah, I've done it. Or if you're watching the recording, say, yeah, let me know what's been going on with the keyword golden ratio for you. So I tested it out. I've been working with it for about 2 years or so. And I've finally told enough people that it's a thing now, right? So, and I see someone in the chat that Human Proof Designs is actually selling KGR packs. I'm not thrilled about that, but that's people ask for it, so they'll sell it. And hiking, hopefully that playlist is helpful. If you feel free to like share that around or whatever, if you like it, like the videos, ask questions on there. I like that too. And this is banned here. So what gigs would I recommend for your site from Fiverr? I would recommend like graphic stuff. I would recommend not link building. So anything not link building is probably okay. So FGH says, what if I don't get any sales in 180 days? Is it even easy to open an account, or will they give you a hard time? I think it's pretty easy to reapply. And then Theo, you get a little less than 100 new visitors every day, and you have a low cost, high profit product that you could produce. At what volume do I start selling my own products? So you should do the math. So I don't know, but if you pull together a spreadsheet, it'll be very clear, like when the margins work out, and you should do it. I've never done that, by the way. So the other part with selling your own products is it's pretty capital intensive, and you have to be interested in doing that. You have to be interested in selling your own products. So if you consult like Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA experts, you should be able to like figure out pretty easily when it's profitable to do it. But remember, it's a different business model. It is not really as passive unless you hire a business manager to actually like run the business. So it's capital intensive to sell your own products, and you have to manage a supply chain. Could be super interesting. I know some people love it. I know some other people that got into it and they hated it and they moved to another area. So I would say if you're just getting 100 visitors per day, maybe you could fantasize, pull together some spreadsheets. It's fun to play with numbers. All right. Monsef, thanks for the live. You're welcome. Thank you. And then SK, thanks for mentioning that Human Proof Designs. All right. It looks like everything's good. The trolls are not getting in here today, which is cool. By the way, quick reminder, if you haven't hit the like button, I see we have 46 people on right now, and someone just clicked like. That's fantastic. I liked it already. So if I answer your question, maybe you should like it. Okay. Next, Matt James says, Jaxie keyword finder thoughts, anything better? Yeah, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of Jaxie currently. I think it's kind of an older school keyword research tool. So I usually, like if you're looking for an economic option, Keyword Keg is the one that I mention often. They don't have an affiliate program. I'm not affiliated with them. It's just the cheapest option, right? It's functional, cheapest option. The other tools that are good, I don't use them. I use Keyword Keg, but I know KW Finder is pretty solid. Keyword Revealer is solid. Longtail Pro, I think I've heard they've improved it. I'm probably just I'm gonna let everyone know a little secret. I'm gonna probably do more keyword research type videos, tutorials, just like use it for a day, use it for an hour, show you what I'm doing, show you what I like, show you what I don't like, and actually test these out for a little while. So it is something I've neglected because, well, I don't do that much keyword research, right? I mean, you can find, you know, all the keywords you need for a pretty long time. And then at some point it does make sense. And depending on where you're at, Matt, something like SEMrush or Ahrefs may be the right move. Those are expensive, but those are powerful tools. Love both of those tools. So next, Wayne, Doug, the best way to let more people find your videos is to get people to comment. Comment is very strong in YouTube's eyes, which is why Deadbeat tells people to comment. Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it. So I'm working on that, and I think that will be a key component in new videos. These live streams, a little bit different, but if you're watching the replay later, you could comment. So, but yeah, I'm actually going to do one of those question of the day kind of things at the end. Perhaps on the live streams, I should do a question of the day at the beginning to get the people that are watching. And I'm just unsure if you're watching the replay. Comment below. I'm curious, like how many people actually watch the replays later. And I mean, I see the number of views, so I have a decent idea, but just curious. And thank you all, Wayne. You are right. I'm definitely learning about YouTube quite a bit. And thanks, folks, for liking the video. I see it ticked up a little bit. Again, if I answer your question, that's a good cue for you to go ahead and like the video. Yoan, thanks for all the info. You noticed that low price items have a higher conversion than high priced items in the same niche. Is that correct? I have no clue, but I would guess so, because they're cheaper, so more people would buy them. All right. Hiking Gear Lab says the main problem you faced with the keyword golden ratio is that keywords with less than 250 monthly search volumes and the number of all in title. Okay. So basically, you probably need to look at longer phrases. That's a good way to filter things out. So if you're using a keyword research tool where you could filter and only look for the keywords that are like 4 or 5 words long, that helps. Matt says, what are my thoughts on the income school strategy with just content mainly for SEO? I think that is a fine way to do things. I think it takes longer. And I think if you add links, right? It's like pouring gas on the fire. So if you can build links, like why not do it? Does just content work? It can, sure. But I think you're artificially limiting like your, capacity for profit, which is our goal, right? So if you could add links and then, do that, then yeah. Okay. Theo says, try using Facebook article boosting, Reddit posting, and Twitter to get your post to rank quicker. It worked for you. Oh, cool. I haven't done that, but that's a interesting way to go. Green Engineer, how do you find the right subject to write a guest post about, considering that you have to reconcile the editorial line of the guest blog and a page you want to rank to? I think, that point is exactly what you need to think about. Basically come up with an idea that fits for both. I really like list posts because it's easier for a writer to write a list post and it's pretty easy to put a link in there. So how do you find the right subject? I mean, I try and pitch something that the hosting blog would accept. That's like my whole goal. So basically, I would say a list post where you're pretty sure that it's going to be a acceptable post and then move forward from there. If you have like a more specific question, let me know, but I don't know how to explain it different. I can give you a quick example. If I was doing the notebook, right? And let's say I was approaching fitness blogs, I would say, hey, 10 items, or maybe five items that that I got in 2018 to help me reach my fitness goals. One of them's a journal, right? One of the five is a journal. The other ones could be like whatever, like gym membership, weights. I have no idea, right? So the writer can figure out the rest. But basically, that's how I do it. You just have to find like the one link between the two topics. Okay, Arc Trooper 5 says you can't get any traffic to your website. Any ideas how you could remedy this? Yeah. So make sure there's two main areas to focus on: content and links. So make sure your content's good. Make sure you have good keywords. Keyword golden ratio is what I would recommend. And then get backlinks. So basically, this whole business model can be summarized in those 2 points. That's it. There's really not much else. There are dozens of ways to do each one, but if you put those two things together, that's how you get traffic. And I mean, that's a tough question to answer. So I can only be general. And those are the two areas that I would take a look at. Dennis says, you're terrible at SEO. Where can you get someone to assist? All right, I am an affiliate for the Hoth, but they have a variety of SEO packages that you can go for. So I would recommend that. However, I would also add it's probably a really valuable skill for you to learn. If you're good at SEO, I mean, you literally can create an SEO agency and make insane amount of money, right? I mean, if you can just figure out how to do guest posting and link building, that's a business right there, right? I mean, look at how many people are asking about getting traffic and getting backlinks and stuff. I mean, if you just figured out how to do that, which I mean, the process is simple. Go and do blog commenting, network with the blogger, and then ask for a guest post. That's it. There's like 3 steps in there, right? Super easy. It takes some time, but Dennis, to answer your question, if you're looking to just, buy SEO services, I would recommend a place like the Hoth. Or, if you want to do gray hat stuff, I don't recommend it. But if you want to do gray hat stuff, check out like Diggity Marketing, Matt Diggity, a friend of mine. He does private blog networks. You have to be accepted into his service, but once you're in, that's a viable strategy. Okay. I don't recommend the gray hat stuff, but if you are more risk tolerant than I am, you can look into it. Okay. Next, FGH says, is rewriting an article from another website. I don't even need to finish reading the rest of it. The answer is no, it's not a good idea. Basically, if you are thinking about any shortcut that you could take or anything to go faster or speed things up, it's probably a bad idea. Additionally, if you're trying to do something for cheap, also probably a bad idea. So if you're like trying to hire people on Fiverr to say write your articles for $5, bad idea. If you're trying to get backlinks for $5, bad idea. If you're doing it for $20, probably still a bad idea. Anything that's cheap and easy, is not going to work, basically. And yeah, I think if you just keep that in mind, probably that'll point you in the right direction. It may be a little aggressive, a little harsh, but it'll point you in the right direction more often than not. Barry says, you have a tech blog getting 700 visitors a day. You monetize with AdSense and a little Amazon. It doesn't make much money though. What's the best way to scale it up? So number one, I would look at your competitors, right? So check the other sites, see what they're doing, see how they monetize. Get some ideas from them. The other part is I would look at your keywords. So are they buyers keywords? If they're not buyers keywords, I would recommend You get buyers' keywords. Add that content, funnel the traffic, add interlinking from the pages that are already getting traffic to your new affiliate content. 700 visitors a day is quite a bit. I would expect you probably should be able to be making several thousand per month. Depending on the blog and the topics and stuff, it's tough. But if it's an Amazon affiliate site, I would expect to make pretty decent cash with 700 visitors a day. And FGH had the follow up on the question, or the second half of the question. So aside from Amazon, or aside from Google realizing what you're doing and penalize the search results, which potentially would happen, right? They see you're copying stuff. I mean, that is not an ethical thing to do, right? And you're violating copyright like the copyrights of the owner, the people that originally wrote it. And it's just, it's not the right thing to do. So if you're ever doing something and you're like, should I copy blah? The answer is no, you probably shouldn't. At best, you're chasing them, right? At best, you're just behind them trying to catch up. So do you want to be behind trying to catch up, or do you want to be like on the front end? Of course, the answer is you want to be the lead dog, right? You don't want to be copying someone. So like I said, at best, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're just catching up. It's unethical. It doesn't show integrity. It's just, other people may recommend it, and I disagree with them. So, okay, that's just where I'm coming from. So, all right, next, David, if there are any niche sites you started, but they failed, no revenue, what were the mistakes I made? Yes, my first several sites were terrible. But you learn a lot along the way. So the main things are things that I've already mentioned, right? So everything that I'm telling you about, I made those mistakes. So number one, bad keyword research. I found this great keyword. Unfortunately, it wasn't a buyer's keyword, and I got lots of traffic, 300 visitors a day for a pretty long time. I was making like a few bucks a day on AdSense. That's about it. So it wasn't a complete failure, but it was just like not worthwhile, right? So put a lot of effort in, making a couple bucks a day. The next issue was gray hat stuff. So I've referenced that a couple times. I've had multiple sites penalized. It's not cool. It's the worst feeling in the world, and it sucks. So how can you avoid that? Don't put yourself in that risky position. And, while I know that some people are able to use gray hat links with success, not my style. So those are the main mistakes. And Arun says we crossed over 51 viewers, which is cool. Thanks everyone for hopping on. And if you just joined up, feel free to ask questions. If you find this helpful, if I've answered any of your questions, please hit the like button. It helps people find it. And if you're watching later, comment. Apparently commenting is really, really important. So I'm going to try and get more of that going on. All right. Do I use any tools like Ninja Outreach? I have. I typically don't. I usually, I haven't used the newest iteration. One of the founders is a friend of mine. We were in a mastermind group together, actually, Dave Schneider. So pretty cool. I've met him a couple times, and basically, I think Ninja Outreach is probably a good tool to use. I am kind of a control freak, and I typically would use a spreadsheet with a mail merge type situation. Additionally, the outreach that I've been doing most recently, or at least my team was doing most recently, basically, it was all manual. The conversion rate was insane. It was like 40%, and it was all manual. So if one thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to like, I guess, do what I enjoy, do what I want other people to do. Currently, I get about an email or two a day where someone's like emailing me, asking me for a link, or they're like, "Hey, we saw you had a resource page. Why don't you put a link to our blah, blah, blah?" And then they'll send me like follow ups. I try to unsubscribe. Their links don't work. The point is, I don't want to do that to other people. So I try and build a relationship. I take the longer route, right? The advantage, I know some people are shaking your head at me. It's fair. The advantage you get, right? Someone asked earlier, would I hide backlinks? No, you can, but I don't think it matters. Here's why. If you are spending the time building the relationships, there's no way someone can look at your backlink profile and go and get those links, right? They're not going to put in the time. They'll try and send an email and say, "Hey, why don't you put, I saw you linked out to this other site. Why don't you put my link in there?" The person is just going to delete the email, right? If you spent time building a relationship with someone, people can't just copy you. So that is like, if you do things the long way, if you don't take the shortcut, you're going to be better off in the long run. Okay. Long answer to a short question. Do you recommend doing giveaways to help build your site's email list? You could try it. So the interesting thing, Theo, is if you do giveaways, it does need to be targeted. If you do giveaways, you basically end up with people that want free stuff. So you need to understand what you're trying to do with the email list, why you're trying to do it, and the kind of people that you'll get on there. So basically, you could give it a shot. I've done it in an effective way for a couple sites, and then I've heard great results. Most of the time, when you see case studies about these contests and stuff, it is by the company who's selling you the tool, the plugin to do it. So it's kind of, what are you going to do with that information? They're only telling you the best case scenarios. Um, so it's a good thing to try, right? Test, Theo, and see what works. A lot of times, I've tried stuff, and the thing is, like, I've tried a contest and it kind of worked, and it requires iteration. So everything requires like a test, see what happens, stop doing the stuff that doesn't work as well, do more of the stuff that works well. So if you, try a giveaway, give it a shot, see if it's interesting, but you may need to do like 5 giveaways to really get the hang of it, I guess. And it looks like, I'm not sure, but we have like 61 people on. Thanks everyone. And I don't see trolls on here. Thanks to my folks who are so kind to help me moderate here. I know we have Arun and then Furhan as well. And Duke, I haven't made you a moderator, but if you want to be a moderator, uh, I would really appreciate it for, keeping a lookout for the bad guys out there. All right. Danish says, I recently did a teardown on a toothbrush website. Do I agree with the way of they're pulling images from Amazon? So you know what? I didn't look how they were pulling images from Amazon. My assumption is they are pulling from the API, either custom coded or through a custom like theme that they have. So in general, I'm not sure because I didn't look, but I assume a corporation like that for the specific site that I mentioned, which was it LifeWire? So I believe that they probably have I'm just making an assumption. They probably have a affiliate manager who works directly with them. So I'm guessing they get enough traffic that they're able to, have someone that helps them and they work through issues versus, getting shut down. Do I use ClickBank or JVZoo? Sometimes, yes. Art Trooper says, do guest posts still work? Yes. If so, where should I do them? on blogs. So you should work with blogs. You shouldn't do easy an article or go article. That's like very old school. That won't work anymore for you. Dennis says, one more question. What's the ideal article length for a niche site? You do 1,500 to 2,000 words. I think that's a good range, but it should be like 1,500 to 2,000 words, all the way up to like 15,000, right? You should be able to, really beef up content for the articles that are doing good. So Dennis, what you should do, take a look. Do you have any articles that are ranking well, say in the top 10? If you say double the content and really beef it up, like make it more impressive, you're probably going to get more long tail traffic and you may move up in rankings. The ideal length is the terrible answer of as long as it needs to be. So how long should videos be? As long as they need to be, right? Wesley, you love my videos. Thanks. Appreciate it. You'd like to watch it live. Question about YouTube videos and SEO. Would a number of different videos pointing links back to your blog help it, or is it just for branding and traffic? Okay. I'm not sure. I think it falls more into the latter. However, like the thing is, I have an assumption that I'm feeling, right? I haven't tested it or anything, but like if people are following the link in your description and going, I think that like no follow link in the description not only brings you traffic, but I bet it will help your SEO if people are going over there, spending some time on your site. So I think Wesley, give it a shot. And I think it's probably a good thing to try. I haven't done it for a niche site before. Green Engineer says, is it better to fix a penalized site or start a new one? It depends. In general, you probably can, I'm assuming it's like unnatural links or something like that. So you can disavow links if you have, issues out there with anchor text ratio or something like that. You could disavow it. Otherwise, if it's thin content or something, you could beef up the content, ask for reconsideration. So there's a number of ways your site can be penalized, and you have to look at, what's going on. So if you have unnatural links, maybe you don't want to recover the site. Maybe you want to buy a domain and you want to buy like an existing blog. You can move all the content over, right? That's perfectly okay to do. If you have thin content, maybe you don't want to move the content over. That's not really helpful. You don't have to fix it up, fix up the content. So you have to make your own assessment based on the issues and the penalization. So it depends. Barry, thank you for joining. You liked the video. You have a good weekend too. Alwyn says a lot of scammers on Fiverr, but you can have a few good writers. You have okay, yeah. And I think like if you are paying more than $5, you're probably like okay. But a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to pay $5 for something, and then Arc Trooper says, what does Amazon review after 3 purchases? What if you don't get any sales after 180 days? So they check for violations of the terms of service. The most common violations are like using images improperly, listing prices, and copying reviews. Those are like the top 3. There's like 20 plus other issues that you could have, but that's what they check. And what if you don't get any sales after 180 days? Then I think they suspend your account and you can like reapply later. I would recommend don't apply until you're already getting a little bit of traffic. David says, do you prefer to have niches in a market with high or low ticket items? Generally, a blend of the two. If I can not answer completely, but lower ticket items are probably what I'm aiming for generally, but a blend is good. I mean, I want a range of products. Shanna says, what are buyers keywords? So those are keywords where people are interested in buying like in the next 24 hours, for our 24-hour Amazon cookie. And basically, those are going to be like best and then the product name, or like the product name and then reviews or something like that. And it's basically someone who is interested in buying, they're doing research. Another good one is like model A versus model B. They're really far down the sales funnel, right? They've done research. They even know the products that they're going to compare. And okay. Oh, cool. And then Duke says, you might not be here every time. Yeah, yeah. That's totally cool. And I think like the good part is like I'll have a few people on helping in general. So always good to have some support. All right. And I see we got still a handful of people. Keep asking your questions. And just a reminder, a little favor for me, if you could hit the like button if I answered your question, or if you found this helpful in any way. Duke passing on wisdom here. Rule of thumb number one, you get what you pay for. If it takes no sweat or no money, it won't work. Agree 100%. Number two, if Google has de-indexed or penalized a type of link building in the past, it's risky. If you need to ask questions about it, then you're not proficient enough to fool Google. That is yeah, that's a good way to put it too. I mean, the thing is, you know, if I ask the question, um, should I use an expired domain? Like, if you have to ask, it means you don't have the skills to find a domain that is clean. That is the most critical part, right? The worst thing you could do is, purchase an expired domain, spend hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars, and then when you get it, you find out, it's been spammed, it's penalized, it has issues, and you know, there's no refund on that stuff, right? So if you don't have the background knowledge to know the answer to the question, you probably don't have the skills to work through the issues that you may run into. And Anthony, what's up? Good to have you on. And Anthony is asking about putting Amazon ad links inside your navigation. Good or bad idea? Um, and you say an image link. I don't know. I mean, I would say I would avoid it. What's the purpose of putting it in your navigation? Let me know. I mean, the problem with that, it's not targeted, right? It's not very targeted, so it's not going to convert well, and it comes off a little more pushy, so I would generally avoid it. I don't have like the highest click-through rate to Amazon, but the conversion rate on Amazon is quite high, like in double digits. My point is, if you have the right people, you don't have to like coerce them into going to Amazon, the want to go to Amazon. Those are the kind of visitors you want. All right. Facilitate for content, fixed or hourly rate. I usually do a fixed bid situation. What level of writing do I pick? So I don't use services like that. So I work with writers directly on Upwork. If I was going to suggest a level, I think depending on what service you're using, like you should probably pick the second highest or highest. And at that point, it's like prohibitively expensive. So I would generally just say, don't. And facilitate, I'm not sure if I answered, you know, specifically, but let me know. D-card. Okay. Do I create a branded persona network for my niche sites? No. Theo says, what do I think about Amazon One Link? You think Barry Edwards should look into that to help improve his income? I think One Link is fine. And for people that don't know, Amazon One Link is the Amazon Associates tool that links up the US, the UK, and Canada, the various associates programs. So it could be fine. And the thing is, so Barry should look to see what traffic he's getting from those places. But my hunch is, and with most things, right, just adding like Amazon one link, not going to solve the problem. There's another issue there. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. It is a good suggestion, Theo. However, it's a good suggestion. You could get a, bump up the percentage, but depending on like the amount of traffic, it may or may not make a difference at all. Okay, and then band. Who do I look up to in SEO? You know, I like Matt Diggity, who I already mentioned. He does a lot of experiments and is super knowledgeable. And to be honest, I don't follow a lot of people, so I'm friendly with other bloggers and folks out there. Charles Float also seems to be doing like some interesting stuff. You'll notice they're gray hat people. That's sort of my origin, but looking at the white hat area, Brian Dean's very good, of course, over at Backlinko, and the general people. But I don't follow super close. And one thing, like Brian Dean, for example, his audience is more general. It's broader. It's white hat. He's targeting marketing professionals who are trying to help their SEO for their company, or marketing agencies and stuff like that. And he's doing more like safe, not obvious stuff. I mean, he's doing interesting things, but the gray hat stuff is a little more interesting. So when Matt does a test and, he's finding out like very interesting information, that's more like cutting edge, far more interesting to me. But yeah, I am not a huge consumer, not like I was before. So how about you, Ban? And let people, if you're watching later, in the comments, who are your SEO folks you look up to? Anthony says, well, it would be targeted like if you have a section in your navigation dedicated to a particular category. Can you add an image that would reflect that category? Oh, gotcha. Give it a shot. I don't know. I've never tried it. So it's a reasonable idea. I haven't heard anything like that. And again, I think it's one of those things where like there's a lot of stuff that you can do where you may get an incremental gain. People ask about like, hey, what color should my button be? What color should my link be? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you're talking about percentage gains in the single digits at best. Most tests like that fail. The stuff that I mentioned, like add more content, like double the content on a post that's ranked number one. See what happens. Like that stuff that can like really change your traffic, right? It's not something obvious. It takes a lot of work. But in general, when you're looking at these 1 or 2% gains, it's not that. It's like a waste of time, essentially. So I think putting an Amazon link in your navigation with an image is an incremental gain at best. But give it a try. I've never heard anyone talk about it. Facilitate is talking about Upwork. There's 3 levels when you're posting a job. Oh, I usually pick the one of the first 2. I think I pick the 2 lower levels, but I can't. It depends on what I'm trying to hire. So, thanks for the clarification. I definitely missed that. And Duke says SEO gurus Neil Patel, Brian Dean, and Josh Bainski, I think. And I don't know who that is actually, but yeah, Neil Patel is very good too. Although I kind of get the feeling that Neil is not as much of a practitioner. Like I watched a couple of his videos and it was like super basic. So he's obviously done well in the past, but at this point he has established himself and he's obviously a good networker. I'm not saying he's not effective. I think he may be a better content marketer, than an actual pure SEO. I mean, I think some of the best SEO material that I saw on um, Quick Sprout was from Brian Dean. I mean, Brian Dean wrote a lot of the really good stuff. Um, and yeah, Farhan says Neil is a salesman. Yeah, he's a fantastic marketer. Probably some really good SEO ideas, but like I said, um, I wonder how much he like practices. And at this point, right, if Neil Patel publishes something, like it'll get a lot of attention and links, and he's promoting it well, right? I mean, that's part of what um, Brian says. Okay. Anthony says, how do I feel about text bullet? I don't know what they are. So it looks like they're a service. I've never used them. So, and I got to say, I mean, if you want to control the process, just hire people on Upwork. Okay, and let's see. So Neil is a salesman, but yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the content's valuable, but a couple of the videos that I watched, I didn't. You know what? I didn't like him on camera. I like reading his stuff more, but again, I don't read too many blogs these days. And and then Josh Baczynski has a weekly white hat versus black hat show on YouTube. Oh, that's interesting. I should check that out since I'm all into YouTube and everything. All right. And wow, we have 53 likes and 52 people watching. We did a good job, everybody. And if you just hopped on and you haven't liked the video yet and I answered your question or something, it'd be super awesome if you clicked the thumbs up. So, what other questions do we have out here? I guess one thing I can mention is like I sort of teased it before, but I am looking at publishing more often and really, I think a lot of the people maybe that are watching right now, you've seen a lot of the videos, you've heard me answer potentially the same question like 100 times or so. And one thing I'm going to do, I know I have like some topics that are quite popular, some videos that like I just haven't been like what they call clustering content around. So for the big fans, the people that like are like watching after an hour and 15 minutes here, like you probably have seen me talk about certain things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like talking about a topic, right? Like selling that niche site for 235,000. You've heard me reference it before, but I'm going to frame it in certain ways. So I'll talk about like the process, start to finish, what happened. I'll start with like basic information, but then I'll tell it in a more, narrative way, hopefully. Then the other parts are around like taking a snapshot in time, right? So me and Rob and I were working on the Project a White Hat site, and I think I'm going to sneeze here. We were working on the site. I'll mute if I do, but um, I'm going to sneeze. I think I'm going to sneeze. This we'll be able to watch the analytics later and see the retention drop off before the sneeze. The anticipation is killing me here. Okay. I think I I fought it away. So basically, I would take like a segment of the work, right? And say, look at, you know, adding content to the site in the process that we went through. So it would be like we we were able to sell the site for 235K. Here's how we added 60 articles in a month. And we were able to, boost traffic by doing that. Our ROI is clear, right? So I'll take like segments like that or other sites that I've worked on where I published the 200 KGR post and what happened. And then I published more KGR posts, what happened there. And stuff like that. So the point is I'm hopefully going to be publishing more. It may be similar stories, similar things that you may have heard, but I'm hoping that it'll be, more interesting as I'm tightening up the editing, I'm tightening up the content in general. Another thing people really like is around the teardowns. If you like the teardowns, let me know in the chat. Let me know in your comments. But I'm planning on doing like at least a teardown per week, potentially more. If people really like those, um, I can do more. All right. Next, Gregoris says at creating new niche sites with WooZone, I should add my sites maps after making on-page SEO or before for the long time indexation. So I don't do the WooZone approach, though my friend Alex at WP Eagle, he does. The question is submitting the site maps. You should do it after the on-page activities, right? So do it afterwards. That way you're fine. Additionally, Google indexes your stuff pretty quickly. But I would say, go ahead and submit the site maps after you make the changes. Anthony says, how many hours a week do I put into making videos and servicing others? So it's kind of a blend, and it's a little bit difficult to put my finger on it exactly. I would say probably like 15 or so. So these take a little while to do. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I end up doing live streams. On average, takes about an hour or so. As far as like doing new videos, I usually batch the work. So you'll probably notice that you should see like I'm doing it's a theme, right? So I end up publishing a lot of content on a niche site, right? So a lot of the stories, I'm like, I published 200 articles in X amount of time, and here's what happened. And this content thing that I'm working on, it's like, well, I work better just focusing on a single thing, writing a bunch of scripts, shooting a bunch of video, doing all the other details associated with it. So, that is probably how I shape it. In some weeks I work 20 hours, some weeks I work 40. It just depends on what I have going on and what I want to do. And Michelle says I can get more likes by showing Georgie. She's sleeping over there. I shouldn't have said her name so loud, but yeah, she's sleeping kind of over in the sun. I'm not sure. It's brighter on that. The sun's shining in from over there. So, okay. Shanna says, when you do keyword research, how long is it really go for? Can you rephrase? I'm not really sure what you're asking. And Anthony says, how do I track my time spent? I don't. I don't really need to. So, now I do understand the productivity, if I want to understand where I'm spending my time and all that, but I tend to work on the front side of the day and then do less in the second half of the day, and it just varies. So days that I feel awesome, I'll work a little harder. Days that I feel tired, I will stop working a little earlier, take more breaks, stuff like that. So if I was to track my time, I would probably do it in an analog fashion. Just keep a notebook and, at the end of each hour, write what I was working on, which may be a good exercise. I'm kind of beefing up my sort of journaling and planner stuff that I'm working on. Anthony, how do you track your time? Do you do anything specific? Another good tool is called Toggle, and it's just like an on off, and you can put an app on your phone when you start working on something. Okay. Hiking Gear says, while publishing content, anytime you check the reading score, I don't. And generally, I would say using short words, shorter sentences, like cleans up writing. I mean, depending on who's doing the writing for you, you may need to just simplify it. I know when I first started writing, I used words that were too big, complicated sentences, run-on sentences. So I would recommend just shortening everything up. As far as the reading score, I don't look. Oh, and Lance says teardowns are good. Focusing on posts that I think convert well, highlighting what's good, formatting of stuff in general, and comparing good and bad posts. Okay, cool, cool. Good to hear. And basically, like, people really seem to like the teardown. So I'll probably, and those are interesting to do. And they require very little like pre-production versus like the other stuff that I'm talking about. It's like you got to write a script for. So, all right, Shana says, how long is a keyword research good for? Oh, you know what? I'm not sure. I mean, the point is, keyword research volumes do change over time, but I would say, 6 months or so is probably reasonable. But if you're worried, you could always double check. Um, but yeah, I would say like six months is probably okay. 4 to 6 months. It could be good for way longer than that, but it just depends on you know the niche. Some niches are going to be pretty consistent and it's not going to change too much. But if it's something newer, if it's like a new trend, then it could have a very big growth area, or it could drop off, right? So if it was a trendy thing and it's coming down, the search volume can change. Wesley says, I mentioned a double digit conversion rate. What do I think is the greatest contributor to that? The niche, the content, or the other? Yeah. So two things. It is the keywords that are buyers' keywords. So I'm getting the right visitor onto the content. And then I'm providing calls to action that are strong, but not pushy. Some people ask, oh, how many affiliate links can I put in here? That's not really what you want to do. I mean, if you if you're imagining that if you put 20 affiliate links, it'll be better than 4, you may have the wrong visitor on there. When you put 20 affiliate links on a page, comes off a little salesy, a little pushy. But if you put 4 well-placed, strong calls to action for the right visitor, they will literally want to go over to Amazon. That's what you aim for. So I think it's having the right visitor, Wesley. Anthony says, have I spoke in public forums or meetups to share my knowledge? No, I haven't, but I do have some interest in, speaking a bit, but I haven't like went to seek that out or anything. But that is interesting. David says, have I published some kind of look over my shoulder keyword research video? Yes, there are several. So if you um, go to the channel and look up keyword research, you should have some like good results. Additionally, again, I'm trying to beef up my playlist, by the way. And by the way, it sounds like we have some, obviously some people on the channel that are, familiar with some of the videos. You've seen a few. I encourage you to put together playlists that you find interesting and share them with me. Let me know. Shoot me an email, and I can share them like for you, right? So other people can check them out. I'm obviously trying to put together some playlists, but the other thing that helps me is if you put together playlists, then other people watch the videos, your playlist, right? Put a little description in there, um, and say why you put it together, and that'll help other people find it. So if you're into that kind of stuff, like a few weeks ago, I tried to do a contest, 0 entries, right? So I said, put together a playlist and I'll share it. I'll interview you on the channel. No one entered. So, I mean, it's at my discretion. That there was no like monetary prize. So maybe people don't care about that. But I was a little surprised that no one entered at all, but no one entered. So anyway, feel free to put together playlists that you find. Again, I'm trying to do more. I'm doing more with my assistant, and we're like really working on filling out the channel. If you followed for a little while, or if you look back for videos that I did like 1 year ago, um, they were sloppy. They they maybe didn't have any descriptions at all. They maybe didn't have any tags at all either. And now um, I can actually like reshoot the same videos just about, and then you know tighten the edit, clean up the description, make a description at all, stuff like that. All the stuff you're supposed to do. Um, but basically, yeah, there's videos out there. Anthony says you use an online software to track and manage time, but even if it's for your own project, so cool. And that is actually the smarter way to do it. I since I got laid off over was it 2 years? Yeah, 2.5 years ago, I got laid off. After that, when I owned my own time, I didn't I guess I had more free time too. So I work when I want to until I'm done. And that is a freedom that, people are after and stuff. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But it does allow me to, if I'm not having a great day, I can stop. And that usually is a good idea. So, okay. Pete said, when you try to write 500 words a day, you found it hard to stick with. What you did instead is set hour 9 to hour 10 to write every day and no word count. Ah, nice. It's much more effective and you write more often. You often write more than an hour, an easier goal, and to keep productive. It's important to set a goal that you can. It's, it's important to set a particular time you can get easily distracted with other. Yep. So that's really a good point, and it's really like the habit of doing the thing. So like sometimes I don't feel like going to the gym, but I'll still go and do a shorter workout. It's better to keep the habit up and just do something. So some days, right, Pete, I'm sure that you do what you can, but you're a little tired. Maybe you're just off that day or something. And it's perfectly acceptable if you're not being too strict with yourself to do that. So yeah, great point. Wesley says you would really like to increase your conversion rate. Do model A versus model B best pen or individual pen review posts convert best? It hasn't been asked before, Wesley. Not that specific way. I don't know. I'm not sure. I believe that the first two are the best. And I think that the verses, I've never tested this exactly. I mainly focus on the first two. So those are, the first one, someone's far down the buying funnel at that point. The best type keywords work great. And then individual pen reviews, those are like shorter search volume, and those, not always but often, those are smaller search volume, and I didn't find those as interesting personally. Okay, is there any specific online SEO course that I would recommend? Not specifically, no. 5-figure niche site. My course is around creating a site. There's an SEO component, but it's more of a holistic view of, creating a site. As far as SEO courses in general, I would recommend, you look at the kind of SEO you want to practice, right? So if you want to do gray hat stuff, you probably should follow gray hat folks and understand like the risks and what they're trying to do. As I mentioned a couple times, Charles Float, Matt Diggity. I don't think Matt has a course out. I think Charles probably does. I can't remember exactly. But the other part is like, Backlinko is great. Brian Dean is super smart. But, you should look through the course material and make sure that it's, what you're looking for. So, but no, I don't have any specific recommendations, and I haven't taken an SEO course. So Okay. It looks like we're winding down. Thanks everyone. And I know a lot of people are going to watch this later, I hope. And what I'll do, I did mention a few playlists, so I will place the playlist in the description. And remember, Wednesdays I do a live stream, Fridays I do a live stream, and Thursdays I actually do a webinar. You have to sign up for it, so it's not like readily available on YouTube right away. So you do have to sign up for that. Usually on Wednesday, I'll try and put a link out there. If you haven't signed up for my email list, you can get a ton of free material. So it's nichesiteproject.com. Just click the green button, enter your name and email. You'll get an email pretty quickly after that where there's links to all the free goodies and stuff like that. So thanks everyone. Have a great weekend and we'll see you next time.